Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round 4 of Season 6 of Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Car Mentalist. I'll be taking you through proceedings in Division 3 as per usual, and unfortunately, I am on my own this evening. We were due to have RJDW in the commentary box for the first time with us this time around, but unfortunately, due to some late attendance calls, he's been called up as a reserve for this race, so he can't join us in the commentary box today. Killaboo as well is unfortunately absent, so he will not be able to do commentary for us. So it is just me today. Looking forward to the 4th round of the season. As you can see, at the famous Silverstone circuit in Great Britain, probably one of the most famous tracks in the world, let alone in the country. So many iconic corners, iconic races as well. This, of course, held the first ever official Formula 1 Grand Prix back in 1950 and is still running to this day. One of only a few tracks that have sustained in the F1 calendar since the 50s, so a really iconic track. Let's have a look then at the driver standings here tonight before we get ready for qualifying for this round. Coming into this round then, it's Tin Can, who is back in the lead of the championship after a second place finish in Spain last time out. He is up the front of the field, only 5 points ahead of his teammate Luke05. Luke05 has only partaked in 2 races so far this season, and in those races he's finished second and first in respectively in Bahrain and Spain. He took his first win in Eloise last time out, so he is now up to second in the championship. Chill had a good start to the season, but he had a nightmare of a race in Spain. 6 pit stops, I think, in the end, leading to an ultimate retirement with just a couple of laps to go. He is third in the championship, a further 10 points behind Luke and 15 off the lead. He is 1 point ahead of J. Cole, who has finished inside the top 5 in every race so far this season, but is yet to stand on the podium. Below him is Forza Brendan in 5th, who was looking like he could have had a good result last time out, but a late move on another driver caused him to spin and dropped him towards the back of the field. That other driver was Cobalt at the time. Beyond Forza Brendan, who's 5th in the championship, we have Raleigh JT in 6th, Funky Check in 7th, YHYY 8th, Black Poma 9th, and Brent rounds off the top 10 in the AlphaTauri on 16 points. Cobalt just behind on the same amount of points as well. Karin Robb down in 12th position at the moment, only on 10 points, despite being on the front row of the grid in every race so far this season. Has not had the race to back up the quality performance that he has shown all the way through. Alpine struggling a little bit in this championship, only on 17 points as a team. Speaking of the team's championship, after another perfect score for Ferrari, they're second in only 3 rounds. They lead the manufacturers by a whopping 40 points already in this season. They are 40 points clear of Aston Martin, who did not score a single point, unfortunately, last time out. Mercedes are third ahead of Red Bull, Williams, McLaren, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Haas and Alfa Romeo at the bottom of the table and are yet to get off the board, and unfortunately both Alfa Romeo full-time drivers are not here tonight, so they will again not be scoring any points for the 4th round in a row. So there you go, that is how the standings shape up after the 3rd round of the season. Coming into round 4, we're just starting to get into the swing of things in this championship then. We're starting to see who is going to be the leaders in this championship, and at the moment the 2 Ferraris, like I said, are the ones standing out on top. Let us know in the chat who surprised you so far this season, who has been the ones that have given you the biggest shock so far this season, who have been the ones that have surprised you. Then I think for me especially, Luke has got to be right up there. Really great start to the season for him. It's been a real great start to him. And then maybe a shock in more of an opposite direction has been Karin Robb. Sadly, we know he's got great speed. It's just never come together for him in the race. We'll wait and see if that is the thing tonight. We see Ben Gallagher in the chat. Hello to Ben Gallagher. He has said he's about to spin in Abbey, which I would not be surprised. We're going to see a lot of people possibly doing that today. He is racing for the first time this season as a reserve in for IFR Noah, who is unfortunately not able to attend tonight. We have 18 drivers in the lobby. I think we are just waiting on a couple of people. I'm not quite sure who exactly we are waiting on, but we will wait and see. So a little bit of a delayed start, unfortunately, to this one. We'll wait and see who it is. Okay, so I think we're waiting for Rakurik, who unfortunately lagged out of the lobby just a second ago, and another driver, I think maybe Funky Chicken. Oh no, Funky Chicken is back in the lobby, so we are missing another driver then as to who is in the lobby. We will wait and see when they get back in. We'll hopefully get everybody into the lobby in time to start this race. So we'll talk a little bit about Silverstone, of course, one of the longest tracks now on the modern Formula 1 calendar, just behind, I believe, Spa and another circuit which I cannot remember if I'm completely honest, but Silverstone right up there in terms of length of this track. Around 3.6 miles is the Silverstone circuit, but the Silverstone circuit is held at almost 70% full throttle throughout the lap. It is an incredibly fast lap, so despite its real long nature, lap times here range around the 1 minute 25 area, so it's actually quite a short lap in terms of time considering how long the track is. Also, interestingly, on this game, we've seen it in real life quite a few times that tyre wear can be quite crucial around this track. That is not such the case really on this game. Tyre wear around this circuit seems to be fairly easy, so in fact not going to see a lot of drivers with a lot of problems with maybe a little bit of not going to see a lot of people with problems unfortunately with tyre wear tonight. It's going to be a fairly simple strategy for most, unless we do get an early or late safety car that could spice a few things up. Just have a look in the chat as well. Yeah, but Baku I think maybe the other longer one. China I believe is shorter than this track. RJW is saying, does he want to commentate while he is driving? That would be, well, a first since I think about a few seasons ago when we had that in China, I think, in this division. I think that might have been with Mark and Ivor Bryn Mike that were commentating whilst they were driving. That was definitely an interesting stream to tune into, but there we go. So yeah, we're going to have to wait for Rikurik, unfortunately, for the lobby. We are now at 35 minutes past the hour, so we are going to have to wait for Rikurik to rejoin at some point in qualifying. So we will have 19 drivers when Rikurik is ready to go. Here we go then for the qualifying session at Silverstone. What is the weather going to look like tonight? Are we going to see any sort of rain? We haven't really seen any rain interfere with Division 3 so far this season. It's been a fairly straightforward season so far, apart from maybe some of the races earlier on. It's been fairly straightforward in terms of weather and strategy. Maybe in terms of who's finished these races is quite the opposite. It's been a real 3 in a row races of attrition so far. I think less than half the field finished last time out at Spain. It was really a difficult race, that one was. Brilliant, then we're just loading into the lobby for the qualifying session. So once we get in, we'll be able to talk you around a lap around Silverstone. Like I said, so many iconic corners around this circuit, all named, of course, unlike many of the tracks we now see on modern day Formula 1 calendars. A lot of the names of the corners are rather the numbers, actual names, which is great to see. Of course, in total, we do have 18 corners around this circuit, but a lot of them are flat out, of course, so fairly easy to miss a few corners in terms of the numbers because of how quick some of these corners are, especially corners like Woodcote. The first part of Maggots and Beckers as well, easily flat in modern Formula 1 cars as well. Of course, the last corner at Club, as Rikurik has fortunately joined the lobby. Aintree as well, another one, as well as the first two corners that are easily flat out. Here we go then, into qualifying session, and we are starting to see drivers come out onto the track then. It looks like it's going to be full dry by the thickest of things, thanks to Ben and Brent in the chat for letting us know. Full dry for qualifying and full dry for the race. Yet again, no weather interference this time around, but that's still going to make for an interesting race. And it's QVR Chill, third man in the championship, who is going to be leading us out onto the field. And he, interestingly, is on the medium compound tyres. There's one thing to look at here, is that the medium compound tyres around this circuit, in terms of quali pace, there's not really a massive discrepancy, maybe around half a second in terms of difference between the softs and the mediums. But of course, around Silverstone, qualifying tends to be very, very close. So I'll be utterly shocked if we see anybody inside the top 10 on the medium compound tyres. It will have to be a mega lap from that one driver if they are able to get inside the top 10 on the mediums. Then we're right on board with Chill as he comes down the national pit straight. Then, of course, the old pit straight this once was, now just used as a support paddock and is used as the main pit straight for a lot of other series rather than Formula 1 through Copse then. Not easily flat, interestingly, on this game anymore, of course. The changes to the floor mechanics on this game and how the car handles, it is just a little bit easy, a little more difficult to keep the car flat through that corner. You'll see some people either lifting off or shifting down into 7th gear. We're just going to turn the volume down just a little bit. Of course, I'm the only one in the party, so the game is just that little bit louder, unfortunately, for me on this end because of that. So here we go. Okay, so Chill was coming up then to the end of the lap to get ready to start his first lap in this qualifying session in the Aston Martin. His teammate Funky Chicken following closely behind, also on the medium compound tyre, so this will be a good comparison between the two to see who's got the most speed as it stands. But across the line then, down the Hamilton Straight, of course renamed this year to the Hamilton Straight, and into Abbey Corner, easily flat through Abbey into Farm Corner, again easily flat, and then heavy braking for the first time on the lap into Village, which quickly tightens into the loop corner, the slowest corner on the track. This one, out of the corner comes Chill through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. A nice and neat first sector for the first time around then from the Aston Martin man as he heads down the first of 2 DRS straights we have around the Silverstone circuit. 27.2, not a bad first sector on the medium compound tyres, but maybe see people dipping into the 26s in that first sector through Brooklands and Luffield. Luffield, one of the longest corners on the track, very easy to lose the rear of the car on traction, but he gets it nice and neatly through those 2 corners to the right hand side through Woodcote and then up towards Copse Corner. Do we see a lift from Chill through here? No, we see a downshift in the middle of the corner from the Aston Martin, just a little bit of understeer, having to downshift to make sure he stays on the track. Of course, we do have track limits at Copse this evening, so you cannot run wide on your quali lap and set it. That will be an instant quali ban for the next race. Through Maggots and Beckett's and then into Chapel Corner, a little bit of understeer midway through the S section there for the Aston Martin, so not the best run through those corners. Down the Hangar Straight and up towards Stowe Corner, very late braking zone because it is uphill. It's quite deceiving how late you can brake for that corner. And now into the last heavy braking zone on the track, the Vale and Club chicane. Hops over the sausage curb on the inside, avoids the sausage curb on the other side, but understeers in the process as well. Up towards the line, and the first lap in the session is a 26.7 from Chill on the medium compound tyres. Closely behind him on the track, his teammate Funky Chicken will go a 1/10.5 faster on the medium compound tyres at 26.6. So the 2 Aston Martins then, the first one in with laps. Black Puma up the line on the soft compound tyres, and he does a 26 flat to immediately go 0.6 of a second clear of the 2 Aston Martins on his first run in the session. That is then immediately beaten by Carwin Robb, who goes 0.4 clear of Black Puma, and yet again in qualifying, Carwin Robb right at the front of the field. His reserve Alpine teammate YHYY jumps in 0.3 of a second behind, just ahead of Brent, who has changed teams. He has changed to DTR, so that is Brent 038, usually now DTR_Brent 38. So that is still the same person. We've still got more people on their laps. J. Cole's got in between the 2 Aston Martins on his first run on the medium compound tyres. Across the line comes Tin Can, our championship leader. He will go third between Brent and YHYY. We've got one of the Alpha Tauris coming up to the line. That will be Matt, I believe, coming to the end of his first qualifying lap in this season. He's not raced so far this season, and it's only a 26.9. It's not the first lap he would have wanted. Raleigh JT goes into second place in the Williams, and across the line comes Darry on the soft compound tyres, only a 26.2 from Darry as well. JSD off the pace on his lap. Calvin across the line, a great qualifying from him in the USA, the only race he's run so far this season. The race didn't go his way, but he's once again at the front of the field in third place, and look at that, already 5 drivers in the 25.9s. They are all separated, the 5 of them, by 400ths of a second, sorry. So 400 separating 5 cars at the moment. It's incredibly close at the front of the field, and we're still yet to see some times. Harry Nawag has invalidated his first run, so he will not be setting a time. Luke's on a run at the moment. Brendan as well is on a run at the moment. Ben Gallagher into the pits, having invalidated his first run in the session. Ricoric coming to the end as well, but it'll be Brendan that's first to complete a lap time in the Red Bull. His teammate currently third. When can Brendan put that Red Bull? He goes pole with a 25.4. That's a brilliant opening lap from Forza. Brendan 0.2 of a second clear of the rest of the field. We thought Carwin Robb had an advantage. Forza Brendan comes in and that's another 0.2 on that. That's a brilliant lap time from Forza Brendan to put himself once again at the front of the field, right in contention, trying to claw back some points that he lost last time out at Spain. So we'll see if he can sustain that for the rest of this qualifying session. Ricuric popped into 11th place, Luke into 9th place only, a 26 flat for Luke and a 26.2 from Ricuric. RJDW in his first race of the season as a reserve in the Alfa Romeo, a 26.5 for his first run in the session. He of course runs on the PC side of things as well, so he might have got a nice little bit of practice for this race, but into 12th for the time being. That is everyone's first runs over and done with in this session by the looks of things. JSD is going for another run, I believe, on the same set of soft compound tyres, just trying to get some experience into this race. A little bit of a late call up for him, so unfortunately he might not have done a lot of practice, so we'll see what he can do on this lap. We'll ride with the Alfa Romeo a bit further around on this one, see what kind of lap time he can get out of that. His current reserve teammate RJDW is in 12th, like we mentioned, so we'll see how far he can get up, and he's 0.7 of a second up on his personal best in the first sector already, so you can clearly see that he's backed off on his previous laps just to save the tyres, ready for another run. Coming down then the national pit straight through Woodcote, not cutting the corner as much as we see other drivers do, up towards Copse Corner. Then does he keep it flat through this corner? No, a big lift midway through Copse there, but unlike we saw with Chill, he keeps it in 8th gear through that corner into the Maggots and Beckett's complex then. hopping over the curbs nicely, not using a lot of the curb in the first part of Beckett's, coming out of Beckett's and through Chapel, not hitting the grass, which is very easy to do. Of course, the curb not updated to reflect what it is in real life, so it is still very easy to clip the grass on the exit of that corner. Uphill braking zone for Stowe, once again, not quite hitting the apex, but keeping it well within the bounds, and he's going to dive into the pit lane. It looked like it could have been a solid run that would have put him around those that have already done a 25.9, but he's decided against completing that lap, so JSC back into the pit lane and will remain 17th for the time being. It's just Ben Gallagher and Harry Nawag who are yet to set a time in this session. Ben Gallagher is back out on the track in that number 45 that he loves so dearly. Harry Nawag, I think, is just about to come back out onto the track by the looks of things. As you can see there in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, there comes the Mercedes out onto the track as his teammate has spun on his way to his next one in the session. And just to prove that what I mentioned earlier on about the mediums being difficult to get inside the top 10 on, those that have set times on the mediums, currently 13th, 14th and 15th, nowhere near getting inside the top 10 in terms of time, so they are not going to be continuing with that strategy. Maybe though saving a set of softs for the race in case we get any sort of late safety car where they can jump onto a different compound of tyres. It's again going to be Chill who's going to be the first person to start their next run in qualifying. In Silverstone, not a lot of track evolutions, so we're not going to see massive jumps in time unless we've seen a mistake on a previous lap from another driver. Chill, of course, was on the mediums, so we should see a big jump in time from the Aston Martin man from the mediums to the softs. But like I mentioned, it's usually only around half a second that you really see between the two compounds of tyres. If so, Chill has got to find a lot of time on this lap somewhere to get him close to that battle midway through the top 10. His two championship rivals at the moment in the two Ferraris, only 6th and 9th. Forza Brendan right at the front of the field, and of course J. Cole, another one to look out for, only one place ahead of him in 14th, starting his first run on soft compound tyres. It's right on board once again then with the Aston Martin as he comes down the national pit straight and towards Copse. We saw him dip into 7th gear on his run on the mediums, and again on his run on the softs he dips in. Easier to say on the throttle this time around, but he does dip down a gear that time around. I think we may have seen J. Cole go off the road yet again. This time coming out of Aintree, he has had a spin by the looks of things, and one of the Alpha Tauris has come to a stop on the way into Copse. I don't know if that is to move out of people's way, or whether he's had an accident on the way into Copse. I think it is to move out of the way and possibly give his teammate a tow. That is Brent and Matt's at the moment. I think Matt's on an out lap, Brent on his actual lap. Up to the end of the lap then comes Chill through the Vale and Club chicane, again not quite hitting the apex of the inside of this corner. It's a bit of understeer in that Aston Martin, not quite looking as hooked up as he would want. It's a 25.8 though, he finds 8 tenths of a second and goes P3, but that's still 4 tenths of a second off of provisional pole position. It is still Carwin Robb and Forza Brendan who were on the front row in the US of A and were right at the front of the field as well in Spain. They are at the front of the field once again this time around. Raleigh has just started his next run in qualifying. Across the line comes Matt Pomer, finds a good bit of time and goes onto the front row of the grid in that McLaren, and across the line comes Brent to immediately steal that place by just 4 thousandths of a second. He did follow his teammate through the final sector, so he might have got a bit of dirty air from his teammate in that final sector, but either way he's onto the front row, and it's just half a tenth of a second covering Forza Brendan and Brent at the front of the field. But Forza Brendan is just about to start his next lap in this qualifying session. Who else is on a lap as it stands? Harry Nawag on a lap as well as one of the Ferraris. I don't know if it is Luke or Tinkan. It is Tinkan coming to the end. Tinkan is 4 tenths of a second up, so this could be another one dipping into the 0.5s in this lap time. Can he keep this sustained throughout the rest of the lap as he comes through the final part of the lap? Then up towards the line comes the Ferrari. He goes from 10th to 4th. He does find a bit of time in the end then, but he goes behind Brent and Black Pomer, and again we've got 3 drivers within 300ths of one another at the front of the field. Across the line Harry Nawag comes, but that's not fast enough to get him off the bottom end of the grid at the moment. Across the line Rekurik will come in the Haas, and he will go up to 6th position on a 25.8. Next across the line is last week's race winner Luke. He will cross the line, currently 12th on the grid. He goes 7th with a 25.8, just behind Rekurik. They're then both beaten by Raleigh JT, who goes into that 6th position. As across the line we see some more drivers crossing the line then. I believe across the line we've just seen Calvin, if I'm not mistaken, but he I think has invalidated that previous run and is going again I think on this lap time around then, so we'll see what he can do. Mats comes across the line 13th on a 26.2. J. Cole going again on the same set of softs. Ben Gallagher is I think just backed off, he's just crossed the line and is not going to go again on that same set of tyres. J. Cole is though coming up to the end of his lap then, currently 16th on the grid as it stands. He will round the final corner on his first lap on the soft compound tyres, and it's 5th fastest fastest on his second lap on that compound that's already had a spinner. 25.6, a good lap time from Dacol, and not much of a disadvantage between having 1 lap and 2 lap old softs here, because the tyre degradation isn't that high. So once again, all of our championship rivals kind of around one another. Chill initially jumped up to 3rd and has immediately been pushed back down to 10th again. That's how much people have improved on their previous run. So interesting to see those drivers, as Ben Gallagher completely off the road there at Copse as he comes out of that corner and up towards the Maggots and Beckett's complex. So this lap time isn't going to be representative anyway. He is well off the pace as it stands. He has backed off on this run, so he will not be improving on that 18th position so far, as he nearly spins the car coming out of Chapel there. So it's everyone then back into the pit lane, I believe. They are not going to be going again on another set of tyres. In fact, Calvin is, currently 12th position, not where we'd expect that Red Bull driver to be. His teammate on provisional pole wasn't able to improve on his second run in this session. Calvin crosses the line, goes up into 5th position, just ahead of J. Cole and just behind Tin Can, so that's more like it from Calvin. Up at the front of the field, and again, Red Bull shining in qualifying 1st and 5th as it stands. From those first runs, though, Forza Brendan and Carwin Rob, great first runs in this session. Neither of them able to improve on their second run this time around. Brendan's able to hold on to provisional pole, but Rob has dropped to 7th position, which would be his lowest start in qualifying this season so far if that stays the same. Everyone then is pretty much back into the pit lane and getting ready for their final runs in this session. Of course, everyone wanted to go out as late as possible to get the best of the track conditions. It is just Harry Nowag and Calvin out on the track. Calvin will be racing back to the pit lane, but he should have enough time. Harry Nowag is just a few corners away, so he will also have enough time to set another lap then. Well, here we go then. Now we just have to wait and see who's going to be the next person to come out for their final run in the session. Brent putting a thing in the chat to say he lost 1 or 2 tenths in the final sector with the dirty air. That is exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting Matt Stone to give his teammate a bit of a tow down the hanger straight, but then it was a little bit confusing to see Matt sticking ahead of his teammate through the final sector in the end, and that did cost Brent a couple of tenths, which could have put Brent into provisional pole position, but hindered by his teammate in that final sector. So we are still yet to see the best from him, as it's one of the Alfa Romeos. It's RJDW coming out onto the track, and he will be the first person onto their final run. He is closely followed by one of the Ferraris, that is Luco 5, that's come back out onto the track for their final run in the session. So let's ride with the man who was meant to be commentating alongside me today. Let's see what the reserve man can do in his first race of the season. Forza Brendan Raleigh JT now out onto the track. Tin Can's coming out onto the track, as well as one of the Alpines that is trundling down the pit lane at the moment. RJDW then obviously on the outlap, just trying to protect the tyres. You don't have to have a slow outlap around Silverstone. It is fairly easy to keep the tyres in a temperature window through qualifying. In the race, maybe not the case. The rear left tyre does tend to overheat in race conditions, but that is part and parcel to the heavy fuel. So it does mean that in qualifying you're not really going to see a problem with that left rear or the left front overheating in this qualifying session. Everyone then now queuing to come out onto the track. Does RJDW end up catching any traffic on his lap? That is the crucial question here. Does he run into someone on his flying lap? There's a lot of people that will be coming out of the pit lane when he's getting ready to start his lap. Two of the McLarens and the other Aston Martin, I believe, are coming out of Chill at the very same time, so he's going to look out for them, as well as a few more cars then. Here he comes then up towards the final corner, so let's ride with the Alfa Romeo man for a full lap around this circuit as he heads out of the final corner and up to the Hamilton straight. Down the pit straight he runs, and then into the Abbey corner of turn 1, through the corner quite nicely, easy flat through turn 2, and then up towards turn number 3 at the farm and the loop section. Then through loop, a little bit of a lock up there on the left front, wasn't quite able to get the car turned into the corner. Lost a little bit of time in that corner because of it, but he continues on his lap for the time being. Then up towards the Brooklands corner, then it's a 27.1. He's 2 tenths of a second up in the first sector, but as that stands, it wouldn't gain him any places in position at the moment, so he's going to have to find a bit more time in these next few sectors. A yellow flag in the final sectors, everyone's backing off to give each other room, getting ready for their final runs. A few drivers have left it very late to come out for their final runs. Calvin, I believe, one of the last drivers to come out of the pit lane. One of the drivers, Tim Matz, has stayed in the pit lane. There's Calvin right there as we pass him on the track. Tim Atz has stayed in the pit, so he will not be improving on 14th position. RJDW to the end of the second sector then, and across the second sector split. Has he found more time? He's now found 0.4 of a second on his time, so he is starting to improve just that little bit more. Can he improve enough in the final sector to get into the top 10 in qualifying, or is he going to have to sit down outside of the top 10 and start on something a little bit different then as he rounds the Vale and Club chicane, climbs over the curb on the inside of Vale and the Club as well, up towards the line? It is a 25.9. He does improve by 0.6 of a second, and it's only enough to go P14 on the grid in the Alfa Romeo then across the line. And Luco 5 then takes provisional pole position on his final run. A brilliant final run from the Ferrari man. He has taken provisional pole away from Forza Brendan, and Forza Brendan is down on his time, so he's not improved on this run. He's going again, I think, on the same set of tyres. Yes, he is going again. So Forza Brendan, with a great first run, is yet to improve on that first run, as now Tin Can goes to the front of the field, and yet again we see both of the Ferraris at the front of the field in a session. One of the Alpines, or is that one of the Williams, I think, that may have spun coming out through the final few corners? It's Raleigh that has spun the car coming to the line. His qualifying session is over and done with. He's only 9th on the grid as it stands. Into the pit lane JSD comes. He's not improved. One of the Funky Chickens not improved. He's only 17th on the grid in the end. J. Cole crosses the line. He can't improve. He's only 7th on the grid. Next to cross the line will be Rakurit, currently 10th on the grid, stays 10th, loses it all in the final sector. Now it will be the McLarens. Darry first. He's in 12th at the moment on a 25.8 YHYY has retired from the session. He is out of it. Darry crosses the line. He goes up to 6th position, just behind his McLaren teammate Black Poma, around the final corner and across the line. Goes P2, splits the Ferraris on the front row of the grid then. Goes Black Pomo, still yet to see the best from Brendan and Brent. Brent's invalidated. He will not be improving on P5. Calvin's on a lap, but is a little bit wide coming out of the Club corner up towards the line. He can't improve. He's only 7th on the grid. Carwin Robb is improving on his time. Next across the line will be one of the Alpha Tauris. That's Brent, who's invalidated. Next across the line is Carwin Robb then around the final corner. Provisional pole once again for Carwin Robb at 25.2. Gets it at the end, and across the line comes Forza Brendan. Can't quite steal it off Carwin Robb. It's a 25.319. Yet again, Carwin Robb and Forza Brendan on the front row of the grid. Ben Gallagher is the only other one on a lap, but he's dived into the pit lane having invalidated early on in the lap. He will only start 18th on the grid. That is qualifying over and done with. At the end of the session, it looked like it was going to be the two Ferraris at the front of the field, but yet again, Carwin Robb and Forza Brendan on the front row of the grid. They did it in the US of A. They've done it again here today, and yet again, for the 4th race in a row, Carwin Robb is on the front row of the grid. This time, it's pole position for the Alpine driver by just 0.02 of a second. Look at that, the top 4 separated by less than a tenth. Forza Brendan on his second lap on those softs gets 2nd on the grid ahead of Tin Can, our championship leader, in 3rd. Black Poma in 4th ahead of Luco 5. Last week's race winner, 5th on the grid. Brent invalidating his final run, only 6th on the grid in the end. Darry in the other McLaren in 7th position ahead of Calvin, J. Cole and Raleigh GT rounds off those inside the top 10, who will start on the softs. Less than 0.4 covers the top 10 in the end. Rakurik will be the first person on that alternate strategy in 11th. Chill 12th ahead of YHY, RJDW, Timat, Harry Nawag, Funky Chicken, Ben Gallagher and JSD round off the 19 drivers in qualifying. Big shocks there though have got to be Funky Chicken and Chill, the two Aston Martin cars, neither of them able to get inside the top 10 in that qualifying session. Chill 12th, Funky Chicken 17th. Brilliant stuff. So we're now just starting to load in to get ready for this race, and as we know already, it is going to be a dry race by the looks of things. So we're going to get a nice dry run from start to finish. Now we have to see what the strategy is going to be like for those outside of the top 10 and how these drivers cope with the race conditions around this circuit. We've seen it so many times already this season. A lot of people have had problems with getting their cars to the end of the race cleanly. It's been really difficult, especially Spain, where we saw around 8 retirements in that race in the end. A really, really difficult race. Bahrain, another one as well. I mean, USA as well. USA didn't have any safety cars, but a lot of mistakes from a lot of drivers put a lot of people out of position in that one. That was another really, really crazy race in the end. Everyone loading up then. Silverstone probably the easiest of the 4 tracks we've been to so far. I won't want to make a comment about where we go next week. That is Singapore. That is probably going to be another race of attrition with how everything has gone so far, but we will wait and see when that one rolls around. That's going to be another great race, and hopefully we get to see Killer Blue back in the commentary box for that one. Everyone then ready for the formation up, so we get to see what drivers are doing strategy-wise then. We'll see what the drivers outside the top 10 have gone for. All of them on the medium compound tyres, apart from Ben Gallagher, as immediately Carwin Robb has spun through Abbey on the formation lap. That's not a good start for him at all. Ben Gallagher, the only one outside of the top 10 that's gone for the medium, that's gone for the soft compound tyre, as Carwin Robb's disqualified from the formation lap almost immediately. That is a disaster for our pole set. He's going to have stone dead cold tyres at the start of this race. That's going to give a massive advantage to those around him. So yet again, before the race has even started, we've got problems for Carwin Robb once again. He is so great in qualifying, but the races already have not gone well for him this season. Only 10 points to his name, despite being on the front row 3 times in a row. But compare that to the likes of the Ferraris, who've not really started on the front row of the grid apart from Tin Can in Bahrain, and they lead the way 1-2 in the drivers and lead the manufacturers as well. I wonder where Ben Gallagher has gone for the soft compound tyres here, maybe looking to gain places early in this race, or maybe hope for an early safety car so we can come in for a pit stop and get rid of those soft compound tyres. But that is a bold strategy nonetheless. He's going to be hoping for something a little bit earlier. Carwin Robb then in the chat to say not how to do a formation lap. No, that is not, unfortunately, Rob, that is not how it is meant to go. But either way, you are still on pole position, so you still have the upper hand in that sense. Coming towards the end of the lap then, put in the chat, guys, who are your predictions for race of victory today? Who do you think is going to be at the front of the field? Of course, Forza Brendan winning in dominant fashion from second on the grid in USA. He'll be looking to repeat that kind of form. Looked like he could have had a shot at winning in Spain as well, but a late dive bomb on Cobalt at turn 8 just did not work for him and cost him a good opportunity of at least a podium in that race, maybe a race victory. He'll be looking to bounce back and put a dent in the lead that the Ferraris have at the front of the field. But yet again, the Ferraris 3rd and 5th, McLaren right up there as well, 4th and 7th, Red Bull 2nd and 8th. So teams all evenly spread out really across the top 10 as it stands. Everyone then coming up towards the line then. Carwin Robb has been sat there for the best part of 2 minutes now. Forza Brendan will line up alongside him on the front row for the second time this season. We have the same front row. It's Carwin Robb from Forza Brendan. And there we go then, JSD has lined up at the back row of the grid. So now we wait for the lights to come on ahead of these drivers. It's Carwin Robb versus Forza Brendan to the first corner. Who's going to get the best start? And it's lights out and away we go. And I think Forza Brendan may have got the better of the two starts. Tin Can immediately jumping out from behind Carwin Robb. And again into turn 1. Forza Brendan leads the way. Tin Can has managed to work his way through as well. Carwin Robb with those cold tyres down to 3rd. Luco 5 is well off the track coming out of Abbey. He's going to have to rejoin safely and does so, but has lost a couple of places in that rejoin as it stands. But it's Forza Brendan that leads the way with another great start with Tin Can right behind. Carwin Robb on those cold tyres has now got Brent down the inside in the AlphaTauri looking for a way through down towards the Brooklands corner. Can he make the move stick down the inside? Yes, he can. He goes up into 3rd place. So our pole sitter within the first sector is already down to 4th position. It's Brendan that leads the way. Tin Can right behind Brent up to 3rd. Carwin Robb from pole position is down to 4th position. Black Poma holds 5th in that McLaren. He's got Raleigh right behind, who's gone from 10th on the grid up to 6th. What a great start from Raleigh in that Williams. Darry just behind in the other McLaren. Luco 5 with that exit of turn 1 has dropped from 5th down to 8th. He's got Jaco and then Calvin right behind, who has dropped a couple of places off the start line. Chill is the lead of those on the medium compound tyres. We've got Ben Gallagher off the road through the S section on those soft compound tyres. I don't know if there was any contact, but he's gone completely off the road in avoidance of something. He rejoins without any visible damage, so we'll see if he has got anything as further up. Carwin Robb uses that another spot as all around in the background. I don't know if there was contact between Raleigh and Darry, but Darry has gone for a spin at Stowe corner. Here goes Chill now on Calvin down the inside of the Vale and Club chicane. That's a bold move down the inside, but it's not far enough alongside to make it stick. As across the line they come. Forza Brendan leads the way as around they come. Then Chill is tucked right up behind the Red Bull of Calvin, but just can't find a way through those medium tyres though. One that Aston Martin looking pretty strong. Calvin a little bit sideways there through Abbey coming up towards the farm corner, but is able to hold on to that position for the time being, what will be 9th place when the timing board sorts themselves out at the back of the field. Then Darry has got going again without any damage, I believe, but I don't know if there was contact with the Williams in front or whether that was completely on his own. Either way, he has dropped from the back after a strong qualifying result. It is then Forza Brendan that still leads. Carwin Robb did lose another place at Stowe, this time to Black Poma, who's managed to get up into 4th place, and yet again Carwin Robb in race conditions is slipping down. As now J. Cole has gone for a spin. One of our championship contenders has gone completely off the road through Luffield. That's not on the exit, that's midway through. So that looks like he's lost the car midway through the corner and has spun off the track. So another driver that started on the softs that has dropped places. That has left a gap now between Luke and Calvin. Matt could leave Calvin very vulnerable on the next lap when DRS is enabled. He needs to get back within a second of the Ferrari in front to make sure he doesn't lose too much time. Chill this time around is not close enough to have a go. He's got Rikurik within close company. Right behind, Ben Gallagher's re-caught the queue of cars at the back of the field, but his soft start has not gone the way he would have wanted. As it stands, he would want to have been a bit further up by now on those tyres across the line to start lap 3. Forza Brendan leads the way as he crosses the line then. It's a 29.2, but that is beaten by a lot of drivers behind. Carwin Robb with a 28.7, the fastest man on the track despite dropping places at the start of this race, tucked right up behind Raleigh there. And then there's Luke. Calvin running pretty much on his own at the moment. We've still got a bit of a timing glitch, so it's hard to see where Calvin is in relation to the drivers around him, whether he's got DRS or not. But Carwin Robb here in the Alpine looking like he wants to make up some of those places he lost in the opening couple of laps. He's on the back of the McLaren. Got a good car in a straight line is that Alpine, but he's not close enough to Black Poma to think about a move in towards the Brooklyn scorn. He has to sit behind for the time being, although he is looking down the inside there of Luffield as Black Poma runs a little bit wide midway through the corner. Great run out of the corner Carwin Robb has got. Is he going to think about a move up towards Copse? It's going to be a late dive, and I don't think he's close enough. He sits behind the McLaren, but he's got a lot of speed at this point. You can see there, a bit of understeer from Black Poma. Carwin Robb had to back out of it, but again, not close enough. He's touched right underneath the rear wing of that Alpine through the Maggots and Beckett's complex. He's got to make sure that he doesn't make a mistake through here, because he is vulnerable to the two cars behind him at this point in the race. If he does make some sort of mistake then, but down the hanger straight, just not close enough to the McLaren. There's not enough straight for him to really make a difference. In the background, Calvin wasn't within DRS range, and I think Chill was just within DRS range of the Red Bull in front, so he's holding on in that Aston Martin for the time being. Calvin trying his best to get within range of Luco 5 in front and try and help save his race at the moment in 8th position. Out towards the line there now, Luco 5 with the fastest lap of the race of 28.5 in that Ferrari. Forza Brendan under pressure now from Tinkan. Tinkan tucked right underneath the rear wing of that Red Bull as we see those famous DRS trains starting to form here at Silverstone. Calvin is within range of the Luco 5 in front. Chill might have just dropped out of range of the Ferrari, of the Red Bull in front. It's going to be right on the bubble as there you go. Forza Brendan trying to break the toe down the Wellington straight. Tinkan not close enough to make the move stick in towards the first, in towards Brooklands corner. But Tinkan sitting nicely at the moment, though you can see Brendan has used up little to none of his ERS in this race. Neither has Tinkan. Brent's used the most out of the top three. Black Poma sitting nicely in 4th. He's now dropped Carwin Robb on this previous lap, and here comes Raleigh in the Williams thinking about a move on the Alpine up towards Copse, but again not close enough this time around. Luco 5 sat there as well, with Calvin starting to close in now on the rest of the soft runners in front. Not quite dragging the medium runners with him though. They're all still in the queue as Ben Gallagher is the first driver to pick up a time penalty coming out of the Copse corner. Then he is still stuck at the back of that medium run of queue, still not able to find a way through the pack as it stands. Then at the front of the field it is still Forza Brendan leading the way. Tinkan getting close but not close enough in towards Stowe corner as Rikurik and Chill swapping places for the lead of the medium queue. Rikurik in the Haas getting past Chill. It was a good start from Chill, but he has now been re-overtaken by Rikurik, who was the person that started in 11th position. He's back up a place, but that's going to cost the medium runners behind more time as well as they drop out of DRS range. Calvin now with the fastest lap of the race. The fastest laps keep switching as now Rikurik has the fastest lap of the race on those medium compound tyres. Coming on to lap 5. Then do we see any changes in the soft queue at the front? We're getting closer and closer to the pit stop window for the soft runners before the end of this race. We've got a bit of a split in the queue further down for the medium runners. It's the two Alfa Romeos that have split apart. JSD struggling in 15th position at the moment. Has got Harry Nowag and Ben Gallagher right behind him on the track. Ben Gallagher thinking about a move on Harry Nowag, but again not close enough for him. He's going to dive to the inside line, but he's not close enough to make a move on the Mercedes, so he has to sit in 17th for the time being. J. Cole and Darry yet to be able to close back in on those worn tyres that have already had a bit of a heat cycle thrown in with a spin for the pair of them. Up towards Maggots and Beckett's once again. Look again at Carwin Robb, just stuck to the back of that McLaren in front, but just cannot find a way through at this point. Starting to gap Raleigh just behind as well. Raleigh not quite able to keep pace with the top 5 in this race. He is still within DRS range, but he's not quite close enough. Black Poma thinking about a move on Brent, but again There's just not enough straight for these drivers to think about a move. Even for Tin Can for the lead, there's not enough straight really to think about a move because the straights are so short and because you're stewing such high speeds coming out of the corner before, there's not really that much of a slipstream effect because you're already hitting the top of your range. By the time you get to the end of the straights further down, Funky Chicken and Timax are running side by side through the final few corners. Timax is going to get that 12th position, and now here comes RJDW looking down towards Abbey Corner. Can't get the move on the Aston Martin, but these three now have lost pace to Recuric, Chill and White YY in front. Timax just, I think maybe just got back within DRS range of the car in front. Not quite close enough though. Coming out of the loop corner then, we'll ride with RJGW, struggling a bit for traction there. Has Timax got DRS? No, he has not. He goes immediately to break the toe, but Funky Chicken not close enough to think about a move there into that corner. So just can't quite get past that AlphaTauri and will sit in 13th position for the time being. Then he will not go any further as it stands. Front of the field then, Forza Brendan still leading that gap, still under half a second. All of these soft runners very close, but Recuric passing Chill has helped some of the medium runners because Recuric is now closing back in on the soft runners in front in 9th position. He was within this DRS train on those harder compound of tyres. The problem is though, when he splits to those soft compound tyres a little bit later on, it's already been proven that it is so difficult to overtake when you're in a train of cars as Ben Gallagher gets yet another penalty, this time through the Maggotts and Beckett's complex, the only driver so far with a penalty in this race as it stands. Recuric then just trying to keep up as Calvin's into the pit lane at the end of lap 6 from the back of the soft car queue. Calvin is the first one in then, a little bit earlier than we would have expected. We'll see people coming in from lap 7 through to lap 10 usually from the softs. Calvin trying something a little bit different. He wants to get out of the queue of cars, get in some free air, get some fresher tyres on. He's followed in by Ben Gallagher, who's come in and retired in the pit lane, unfortunately. So Ben Gallagher's race is over and done with by the end of lap 6, sadly. So he will be the first of the retirees in this one. Calvin will be out onto the track completely on his own. The field with the disadvantage of everyone that he was racing being within DRS range of one another. So he's going to have to really push on this outlap to try and make some places. Do we see anybody react to that pit stop? Do we see any of the leaders coming into the pits? Forza Brendan still leads the way with Tin Can tucked right up behind, Brent right there, Black Puma right there, Carwin Rob right there, as well as Raleigh JT and Luke 05, with the medium runners of Recuric, Chill and White YY holding good speed as well. The top 10 all within DRS range of one another. The first person outside of DRS range is Mats in 11th position. He goes very wide coming out of Cops. I think just about gets away with it in the end, but still quite a way off the line there for him. We're coming up to the end of the lap then. Is anyone coming in? Carwin Rob right up behind Black Puma here. He's got a shot down towards Stoke Corner. It's going to tuck to the inside line. Tin Can thought about a move for the lead. Here comes Carwin Rob down the inside of Stoke Corner. He's going to get the move done on Black Puma and is up into 4th position. As second place in this race, Tin Can is into the pit lane then. No one else follows him in. Tin Can, the only one that responded to Calvin's early pit stop. Is Calvin going to be close enough to challenge Tin Can? I don't think he is. But into the pit lane comes the Ferrari man anyway. So now we've got to see what the reaction is going to be from the other drivers around. Is this too early a pit stop for Tin Can, or has he timed this to perfection, and is he going to get that strong undercut? Onto the mediums he goes and back out into the pit lane then. We'll ride with us J. Cole into the pit lane as well. Let's ride with Calvin to see where he is in relation to that Ferrari. Of course, that pit lane very slow here at Silverstone, only 37 miles an hour. Such a long pit lane this one is. As Tin Can comes out of the pit lane now, he's going to rise over the crest. Calvin is nowhere near close enough to Tin Can to really make an impression on him. It's about 3 seconds when Tin Can breaks for the village corner then. Calvin then a little bit separated. These two then out of DRS range of everybody else. Now we wait to see who is going to come into the pit lane at the end of this next lap. Who is coming in at the end of this one? You've got to imagine Forza Brendan, Brent and Carwin Rob will be in. Black Puma starting to struggle on those soft compound tyres. Has dropped out of DRS range now to Carwin Rob in front. And Raleigh JT is right on the back of the McLaren, thinking about a move maybe up towards Stowe. He's on the ERS, he's got the DRS open, and there you go, straight line speed for that. Williams is going to breeze around the outside of the McLaren and up into 4th place on the road just getting ready for some people to come into the pit lane. Forza Brendan, they're all staying out. No, Forza Brendan's into the pit lane. Brent stays out. Carwin Rob stays out. Raleigh JT stays out. And into the pit lane, we've got Forza Brendan, Black Poma, and Luco 5, the three of them in, as Carwin Rob sets the fastest lap of the race on that last lap with that overtake that he pulled on the previous lap, and he's now right up behind Brent for the lead of this race. He's so close at the back of the AlphaTauri. He's got a lot of speed, but he doesn't want to make the move here. He wants to wait for the DRS straight to make sure he can get that move done, as Harry Nawag now picks up a time penalty. Forza Brendan is coming down the pit lane. Where is he going to be in relation to Tin Can and Calvin? Tin Can was the man directly behind him on the road. It's going to be very close. I think Tin Can might have this though, as he comes through Abbey Corner. Calvin with the fastest lap of the race now, and around Abbey we come. Tin Can's done it. He's done the undercut on Forza Brendan. Forza Brendan will stay within DRS range of the Ferrari, but that one lap undercut has worked for Tin Can. He is now into the net lead of this race. Calvin has managed to jump Luco 5 and Black Poma with his 2-lap earlier pit stop. Then he is up a few places. Luco 5 has lost a lot of time in the pit lane there, so I don't know if he's been held up by any stretch of the way, but he is now 3 seconds off the back of Black Poma in front, which is not going to help his race whatsoever. The medium runners though started to split up just a little bit. Carwin Rob did pass Brent for the lead of this race. Carwin Rob still has a lot of speed in those soft compound tyres as he comes now to the end of the hanger straight through Stowe Corner. You've got to imagine he's going to be in at the end of this lap, and he is. Does Brent follow him in? Carwin Rob stays out at the last moment. He stays out onto the track then. Carwin Rob continues on. Brent comes in. Raleigh comes in. That means that Darry and Carwin Rob are the only soft runners that are staying out. You would imagine Darry's going to come in as well, being out of position as he is. No, he's actually going to stay out for another lap, is the McLaren man, so he continues on in this race. Carwin Rob then continues to lead on the soft compound tyres then. Where do we see Brent and Raleigh then come out in relation to the people they were racing with? Onto the mediums goes Brent, onto the mediums will go Raleigh as well then in that Williams car. Williams having to wait for the AlphaTauri to go past him in the pit lane. The AlphaTauri coming to the end of the pit lane. Look how long of a run it is to the exit of the pit lane for the AlphaTauri. Comes out. There goes Tin Can and Forza Brendan. Where are they going to be in relation to Calvin? Calvin coming through Abbey Corner. Calvin is going to jump another 2 drivers. He gets ahead of Brent and Raleigh. Calvin in this race there with this undercut has jumped 5 people, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's jumped Luke, Raleigh, Black Poma and Brent, and when Carwin Rob comes in, it's possible that Calvin could jump Carwin Rob as well here. Calvin with a great undercut that could work nicely for him. Black Poma trying to get the position back on Brent into Brooklyn's corner. Squeeze to the inside. He's forcing his way down the inside. Brent has to back out of the corner. Loses the rear of the car a little bit through Luffield, but Black Poma with a forceful move down the inside gets the move done on the AlphaTauri and will hold on to 14th place on the road. What at the moment is a net 4th or 5th place in this race, depending on where Carwin Rob feeds into this, as into the pit lane does come Carwin Rob. Finally, at the end of lap 10, he will come in. He will have a good lap advantage on those medium compound tyres that could work to his favour in this race. Rekurik will now lead this race then on the medium compound tyres. He leads from Chilwell and YHYY. Timats will be fourth ahead of Funky Chicken and RJDW, who are still very, very close together down the pit straight. In fact, look at these 3 tucked right up behind one another. Funky Chicken tucked right underneath the rear wing of the AlphaTauri in front. Can't quite find a way through as of yet. Is he going to think about a move into the loop? Not close enough on RJDW, just waiting in the wings unless these 2 make a little bit of contact. Where is Carwin Rob in relation to our leaders then? He's going to come out of the pit lane. He should be behind Brendan and Tin Can. As around the first corner they come. Brendan's past Tin Can in this past lap. Carwin Rob comes out just ahead of Calvin then. So he's in a net 3rd position as Carwin Rob. The overcut has worked for Carwin Rob. He holds 3rd in this race. Calvin then up to a net 4th, but he is now right in the wheel tracks of the Alpine and hoping that the Alpine can close in on the 2 drivers in front. Forza Brendan has re-overtaken Tin Can in this last lap to take back the net lead of this race, as Timats fended off Funky Chicken, and now Funky Chicken's been overtaken by RJDW, and they're now being caught by JSC and Harry Nawag. These 3 fighting so much, and they're now 4 seconds off the rest of the medium riders in Rekurik, Chill and YHYY as they continue to lead. Now when do these guys come into the pit lane? When do they decide it's the right time to pit? Is it going to be around lap 15 or 16? It's not going to be yet. They're going to have to wait a few more laps before they decide to come into the pit lane. Let's keep an eye as well on what Carwin Rob is doing. Is he able to get within DRS range? Not quite this time around in DRS range. He's got Calvin right behind us. Black Poma has has dropped the car. What a shame for Black Puma, who's had a good season so far, has just dropped the car coming through the final part of Beckett, and that is him down to 16th position and pretty much out of the running for a top 10 result in this race. What a shame for Black Puma then. Down to 16th, and he's got J. Cole right behind. J. Cole and Darry still out of this one as it stands because of there being no safety car in this race. They've just not been able to get back into this one as of yet after their early spins. What a shame for Black Puma. Both McLarens from great qualifying positions now well out of position and well out of a chance of a solid, decent points finish in this one. What a shame for both of them. RJDW now thinking about a move on Timats here for 4th position. At the moment, Timats doing a great defensive job. No one seems to be able to get past Timats on this track. Funky Chicken's tried and hasn't been able to. Now it's RJDW's turn. Coming out of Copse Corner then, can he think about a move? Coming out of the Maggots and Beckett's complex through Chapel onto the hangar straight. Timats looking nice and neat there through the S's, but so is RJDW. A bit of understeer there from the Alfa Romeo in the wheel tracks of the AlphaTauri, but look at that, immediately onto the DRS and the ERS. It's going to move to the inside line. Nothing Timats can do, and RJDW in the Alfa Romeo breezes past and up into 4th place on the road. Good recovery so far from a relatively lacklustre qualifying from this man in his first race of the season. The race pace so far has been strong, and he's now up to 4th place on the road. Carwin Rob has now been able to get back within DRS range of Tin Can in front, so that will help him in his charge later. This queue of cars then were all on the soft runners. We've lost a few drivers in that queue. Luco 5 with a slow stop, and now a penalty has dropped back into 15th and now out of DRS range of the drivers in front. Black Puma now with a spin is being overtaken by J. Cole down the hangar straight. So Black Puma spun out of contention as well. So we've got a 6-car queue. A 6-car queue for the lead of this race. It's Brendan from Tin Can, Robin in net 3rd, Calvin in net 4th, Brent in net 5th, Raleigh in net 6th position at the moment. All 6 of these cars relatively even on pace. It's going to be down to penalties and tyre wear at the end of this one. Calvin with the oldest compound of tyres here. Tin Can 1 lap older than that. Forza Brendan 1 lap older than that. Brent and Raleigh came in on the same lap. Rob with the youngest medium compound tyres in this queue of cars, in a good position in 11th place on the road, and net 3rd in this race. We'll keep an eye on what he can do. At to the lead of the race, McCurrick is still leading this queue of medium runners at the front of the field. Chill right behind, but Chill not quite able to get close enough to think about a move on the Haas in front. But again, because he is in the middle of that queue, YY can't think about a move on getting that place back. As further in the background, Timats is going for another move back past us. Carwin Rob with a time penalty. That is crucial for his race. That could cost him a few places in this one. Carwin Rob not in a good position. Now, I mentioned it just half a lap ago, he was in a good position. That penalty has put him at a disadvantage to all the drivers around him. That is going to be really crucial for his race, as Timats did get that move done and is up into 4th place. RJDW back down into 5th. Funky Chicken holding that 6th place in the Aston Martin, but Funky Chicken sadly just hasn't really had the pace tonight. He's not been able to get to the front of the field, not been able to follow in his teammates' wheel track sadly, and is just stuck a little bit down the field at the moment. He's got JSD and Harry Noir right behind him. It's a 17-second gap back to Forza Brendan. We're not going to see these medium runners catch the other medium runners in front on the track. We're not going to see that, but we'll see where the soft runners come out. Look at this 6-car queue being led by the Red Bull of Forza Brendan. They're all so close to one another. Calvin, though, a bit of a mistake there coming out of the loop. That's going to put Brent right on the back of the Red Bull man. Calvin moving to the middle of the road. Brent switching one way, then the other. Doesn't have enough straight line speed, though. Calvin really late on the brakes into Brooklands just to solidify the position. Calvin with a bit of a mistake out of the loop, but is just able to hold on to it. It's that easy to just lose the car and cost yourself a position. Carwin Rob now thinking about a move on Tin Can to try and get past the Ferrari and up towards the Red Bull in front. Our championship leader in a net 2nd position at the moment, doing a great job, as yet again down the hangar straight, RJDW and Ecos Mats swap positions at the end of the straight. This time RJ getting in front. Matt's thinking about a move into the Vale Club chicane, but again not close enough, as Funky Chicken at the end of lap 14 is into the pit lane for a set of soft compound tyres then in that Aston Martin. Where will he come out in this field? Where will he come out relative to the other drivers that have already pitted for the mediums? It's going to be a long way off the back. It's going to be closer, I think, to the likes of J. Cole and Black Puma than he will be to Luke. Luke's still trying to keep up with the medium runners in front, but just can't get close enough to get within DRS range. Look at that. There go the medium runners already passed down the pit straight. They're all through. Luke will be the next one to go through. Funky Chicken looks like he's going to be completely on his own here. 15th place on the track. That is a lot of time he has got to make up on the drivers in front if he wants anything from this race. 7 seconds is the gap. So Luco 5. That is going to be a tall order for Funky Chicken to get much higher than past the likes of RJGW and Mats at the end of this one. It's going to be a tall order. We'll see whether RJGW and Mats come into the pit lane at the end of this lap to respond to Funky Chicken's early pit stop. This does mean, though, that likes of Recurric and White are going to be close to Luco 5 when they come out of the pit lane. It's going to be relatively close between them because of the gap they had back to Funky Chicken at that point in the race. So we'll see if any of them come in at the end of lap 15. It will be 11 laps on the soft compound tyres. We know that Chill has saved a set of softs through qualifying, and they're into the pits. White Chill was in. Recurric and Chill, White has stayed out for another lap, so he's doing something just a little bit different, not following the other drivers, wanting to try something different as Mats has sped into the pit lane. That is crucial for his race. Mats and RJGW in. JSD has to stay out to accommodate his teammate. Harry Newag stays out with JSD, so White leads from JSD and Harry Newag. As it stands, where do we see Recurric and Chill come out in relation to our race leaders? Onto the softs then goes Recurric. He comes out of his box just ahead of Chill still. He will lead the soft car train then. Where are they in relation to the other medium runners? There goes Forza Brendan down the pit straight. Tin Can, Carwin, Rob, Calvin, Brent and Raleigh all go through. Luke just goes through as well. Is Recurric going to be ahead of Luke? Not quite, but he is just behind the Ferrari man. He's not far off the back of the Ferrari. He's actually within DRS range of the Ferrari. He's over 3 seconds off the back of the queue of medium runners, but we know Carwin Rob already has a penalty, so that could be a benefit for his race if he can get within penalty range of the Alpine. Brent again thinking about a move on the back of Calvin, but just can't find a way through. These drivers all so close to one another, but not wanting to make a move at this point in the race. They just don't want to push the boundaries and make a move too early and feel the worry of being overtaken a little bit later on in this race. Recurric immediately onto the back of Luco 5 there. Remember, Luke does have a penalty as well to his name. That's not going to help. Funky Chickens managed to jump RJGW in the pit stops, but wasn't able to get past Timats. But Timats does have a 5-second penalty anyway to his name, so that's not going to help him in that stretch anyway. Recurric then, look at that through Magnussen. It's just so much easier for him to hook the line through those corners. JSD's in. White stayed out for yet another lap, interestingly, as Luco 5 moves over to the left hand side. Doesn't put up any fight at all. Recurric down the inside line on the Haas car. Nothing Luke can do, and Recurric is up into 10th position. Luke may be thinking about trying to follow the Haas car through and further up the field. Maybe that is a strategy for him, just trying to hold on to the DRS range and some of the soft runners and close in. As we've got a yellow flag, it's set to 1. That is Harry Newag that's gone for a spin through turn number 3, through the village corner. He's had a spin just before we've got to the loop. I don't think he's managed to hit anything, but that is another Mercedes. The 2 McLarens and the 2 Mercedes having horror races here today. What disasters it's been for them. Out of the pit lane comes JSD, just ahead of J. Cole and Black Poma in the race, but on a much fresher set of softer compound tyres. Recurric immediately closing in on Raleigh. He's taken 8/10 out of the Williams man in front since passing the Ferrari. Chill now thinking about a move on the back of Luke, really late on the brakes, nearly runs clean into the back of the Ferrari, but gets away with it as he comes up towards the Luffield corner then. And a bit of a wobble there from Chill coming out of the corner. That's cost him a bit of time. He can't find the run down towards Copse corner. Luke is still holding on to the DRS range of Recurric in front as well, so that's helping him out quite nicely at this point in the race, him being able to hold on to the back of the Williams, being able to hold on to the back of the Haas car in front. Recurric still not quite within range just yet, but you can see how close they are in front. Raleigh think about a move on Brent. Brent think about a move on Calvin here, down towards the Stowe corner. Tin Can looked for the lead, but isn't close enough. Brent to the inside line. Raleigh thinking about a move around the outside at Stowe corner, but just isn't close enough to think about it. Brent, though, going for a late dive down the inside of Vale corner. A little bit of side-to-side contact with Calvin, and I think Raleigh had to back out to avoid the back of the AlphaTauri. That's played beautifully for Recurric, who's now within range. A late dive from Brent, just understeered into the side of the Red Bull in front. Nothing really either of them could have done in that situation, and that has put Raleigh on the back foot. Recurric is now within DRS range of this whole queue of medium runners. Luke has been dragged back into contention as well through all of this, and Chill can't find a way through. White comes out of the pit lane 2 seconds off the back of Chill, who was within DRS range of previously. But these guys are all still battling. Tin Can right on the back of the Ferrari, still not going for the lead in the race, is saving up his DRS and thinking about a move a little bit later on in this one. He doesn't want to do it too early and risk being overtaken later later on. Calvin, with all that contact with Brent, has lost a little bit of ground to Carwin Robb in front, but is still within DRS range. Everyone all the way down from Forza Brendan to Chill in 10th, second down to 10th, all within DRS range of one another, as Black Poma is the next get a time penalty, but he is already down in 17th position, and it's not looking like a good race for him. He looks like he's not going to score any points here tonight, bar any late dramas. Brent now on the back of Calvin. Maybe those older tyres for Calvin starting to hurt just a little bit. They're already 10 laps old. Carwin Robb here going for the move on Tin Can down the inside of Stowe. Stowe is an easy corner to run side by side through. Tin Can leaves the space. He's going to have the inside line for the Vale Club chicane. Carwin Robb's going to try and break later around the outside. The inside line for Club corner, and Tin Can still trying to fight it around the outside of the Alpine man through the final part of Club, and Tin Can just holds on to the position. Carwin Robb tried the move, it didn't work. Calvin held on to 5th place on the road as well. Harry Nawag is still staying out on the track, I think at this point just hoping for a late safety car to bring him back into contention, but at the moment that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Calvin right back within range. Kukurik can't find a way past Raleigh, as Calvin again really sideways there. Timax and Funky Chicken again going side by side, and now down the inside Funky Chicken gets the move done on the AlphaTauri, but Timax trying to stick his nose down the inside of Aintree corner. Who's got the DRS out of the two of them? I think it's Timax that's got the DRS. It is. He's going to go down the inside line. Nothing Funky Chicken can do, and here comes RJGW to make it 2 places lost in one corner for Funky Chicken. They're now 3 wide almost through Luffield. RJ has to back out of the corner to avoid being sandwiched. That puts Funky Chicken back down the inside for Woodcut, and what will be the inside for Cops. But look at the run he's gotten Timax in the process, but he just can't find a way through. And these three still continuing to battle with one another, not able to march their way forwards, still stuck fighting one another, as Carwin Robb yet again has got another great run coming up towards Stowe on the back of the Ferrari in front. Is he going to think about another late move into Stowe corner? Not close enough. You can't think about a dive to the inside, but he's almost running into the back of the Ferrari midway through the corner. Such is his pace that he's got at this point, as Funky Chicken yet again passes Timax, I think for the 10th time in this race. This time into Stowe, he makes it stick and is up into 12th position, and what stands as the final points paying position at the moment. Still, Harry Nawag is yet to come into the pit lane to serve his one mandatory stop in this race. He is waiting until the last moment to get it done. At the moment it's not going to happen for him as it stands. Kukurik on those soft compound tyres has got in this queue of medium runners, and because they're all within each other's DRS range, he just can't pass any of them. He's just stuck at this point in 8th place on the road, what would be a 7th place finish as it stands. You can see YHYY in the background in the Alpine struggling to close in on these guys who are all running at a very, very similar speed at this point in the race. Those soft compound tyres haven't been the strongest compound. They weren't that strong compared to the mediums at the start of the race, and Kukurik now not looking that strong on the softs at the end of the race either. It definitely seems like starting inside the top 10 is a big benefit here. It means you can hold track position, which is crucial for these drivers' races. As look again, Carwin Robb is so fast in the middle part of the lap. You can tell he's running just maybe a little bit more downforce than Tin Can in front. Has he got the run coming through Chapel up towards Stowe corner this time around? He got a good run, but he's just not close enough once again to the back of the Ferrari to think about a move into the corner. Forza Brendan still holds the net lead of this race. We're still yet to see Harry Nawag pit. He continues on to lap 21 of this race, still on the same set of tyres that he started this race on. So here we go then, on to lap 21 then for these net leaders then. Is any of these drivers going to think about making a move at this point in the race, or are they just going to sit and wait for the final few laps? You've got to think that Tin Can is just sitting and waiting for the right time to pounce on Forza Brendan in the lead of this race. Forza Brendan has led pretty much this entire race so far, apart from a couple of laps at the pit stops. Forza Brendan has led the entire way, but he is vulnerable to an attack from Tin Can behind. We'll run with Tin Can here, see if he is lifting off down the straight at any point towards the end. He's not using any ERS. He's on the DRS, doesn't have to lift off. He's not close enough down the Wellington straight, but he didn't use any ERS crucially down that straight. And again, look at Carwin Robb, so close to the back of the Ferrari, as again Funky Chicken's having another battle. Funky Chicken got re-overtaken by Matt, and now RJW is again back ahead. These three drivers have been swapping places all race long, and they've now been caught by JSD and the other Alfa Romeo, who's trying to close in on younger tyres than the drivers in front, maybe capitalising on these guys battling too hard, and maybe could steal a point at the end of this race. Carwin Robb yet again so close to the back of the Ferrari. Forza Brendan though this time around a little bit wide coming out of Beckett's and into Chapel. Is Tin Can going to think about it? He is. He's on his ERS down towards Stowe. He's going to have the outside line for this corner. Can he go all the way around the outside of the Red Bull? Forza Brendan sticks it down the inside. There's a bit of contact between the two of them. Tin Can is run out of road on the exit of the corner. That's going to put Carwin Robb around the outside. Tin Can loses the rear of the car just a little bit there in his fight with Carwin Robb. But what turned into an overtaking opportunity, Forza Brendan was forceful with his defence. He kept the line on the inside and Tin Can was forced out of road. He drops behind Carwin Robb. Remember, Carwin Robb still has a penalty as RJGW sets the fastest lap of the race with the help of DRS that time around. A good lap time from him. Currently down in 12th position. Now is Tin Can under pressure from the drivers behind, and what can Carwin Robb do about the lead of this race? Is he going to think about getting past Forza Brendan? Does Forza Brendan get overtaken by Carwin Robb and then just sit behind the Alpine towards the end of this race and use him as a line of defence for the drivers behind? It's going to be an interesting end to this one. Rekurik is still unable to find a way through. Luke 05 runs a bit wide through Luffield, chills down the inside, coming out and through. Woodcote and Chill with the inside line is going to ease down the inside, and up into 9th place goes the Aston Martin. He passes Luke, who drops down into 10th. Luke immediately thinking about a move there into Copse, but isn't close enough. Look how close all these cars are as YHYY now picks up a time penalty coming out of Copse corner. That's not going to help his cause at this point in the race. Carwin Robb only 2/10 off the lead. He's on his ERS coming out of the last corner. He's got the DRS open. He's going to go for the lead here as Forza Brendan's going to stick to the middle of the road. Carwin Robb's going to go to the outside line. Nothing Brendan can do. Carwin Robb takes the net lead of this race, but Forza Brendan can now sit behind the Alpine, save ERS, use DRS to help him defend against Tin Can. That's worked nicely as JSD and Funky Chicken both get time penalties on the exit of Stowe corner by the looks of things. That's not going to help them at all. That's going to massively help RJGW, who's now not really under any threat from the drivers behind if he keeps it clean. What would be an 11th place finish, because Harry Newag, of course, is still yet to pit in this race. We're coming on to lap 23 and still Harry Newag has not pitted from those medium compound tyres. He leads the race, I think, hoping for something to happen, but at this point it's too for that to happen. Back Poma into the pit lane to try and steal fastest lap. He won't get the points for it, but he will take the points off of somebody else who could have finished in points, and that driver at the moment is RJGW. He would steal a point off of the reserve driver as it stands. Further down, still Rekurik stuck behind Raleigh JT and just cannot find a way past the Williams man, and up into 7th place. He's just stuck in that 8th place on the road on the soft tyres. Chill as well, can't find a way past any of these drivers in front. Calvin, remember, with the oldest lap tyres here, 15 laps old. He's not going to be within any punch of threat because Harry Newag is still going on his medium tyres. But you can see Harry Newag's not got a load of pace at this point in the race. Calvin all over then. It's just trying to get to the back of Tin Can. Can he make this a Red Bull 1-2? Tin Can starting to get aggressive at this point in the race, trying to close in on Forza Brendan in front to get a move done as Harry Newag finally at the end of lap 23 is into the pit lane for what looks like it will just be a fastest lap attempt at the end of this race. On to lap 24, 3 laps to go. Carwin Robb leads the race, but a time penalty here could cost him a win and could drop him all the way down to 8th place as it stands, with the amount of drivers within close proximity. Let's actually have a look at the full gap to the leader. Yeah, Chill's only 2.5 seconds off the lead of this race as it stands. So at the moment, Carwin Robb would lead on track, but would drop down to 8th position, which would be yet another race that slips away from Carwin Robb here. Tin Can so close to the back of Forza Brendan and just cannot find a way through at the moment because of Forza Brendan's aid of DRS that he has on the Alpine in front. But Forza Brendan, you can tell here, is just not quite able to keep pace with Carwin Robb in the lead this race. Carwin Robb looking comfortable in the lead. Brent in the background again thinking about a move on Calvin, this time into Copse, but just can't find a way through on the Red Bull driver, the AlphaTauri, trying any which way to get a move done and just can't make it stick. Calvin just make little errors every now and again, but they're not enough to spark any sort of overtake from the AlphaTauri behind. And again, you can see there through the Maggots and Beckett's, nice and neat from Calvin, under no threat from the cars behind. Neither is Rekurik, is not threatening either on Raleigh in front, and Chill not able to make a move stick either. White has caught this queue of cars as Dario picks up a time penalty down in 16th. White has caught this queue of cars, but unfortunately for him, that time penalty is also going to play against him in this race. Tiamat still in 11th place with RJDW right behind, but RJDW, of course, with no penalties compared to the other people around him. That's going to help him nicely in this race and would be a net 11th position as it stands in his first race of the season. We're on to lap 25, only a lap and a half to go in this race. Carwin Robb leads, and Carwin Robb is tantalisingly close to breaking DRS to Forza Brendan. Forza Brendan here just starting to come under a little pressure. He's got to try and keep within range of Carwin Robb in front to make sure that he can defend from Tin Can behind. And Carwin Robb here trying his best to save a few places in this race as it stands still under threat from being overtaken by Chill, but it's right on the bubble as it stands. Forza Brendan, though, just can't quite keep with the Alpine in front. Carwin Robb using a lot of ERS to try and pull his way. There we go. Black Puma, the fastest lap of the race there with a 126.4. Carwin Robb a bit wide there through Copse, and he's nearly broken DRS range to Forza Brendan. Forza Brendan's just going to get it into Maggots and Beckett's, but look at Tin Can on the back of the Red Bull trying to find a way through Maggots and Beckett's and up towards the hangar straight. Forza Brendan's got DRS though to help him defend, and Tin Can cannot get close enough to the Red Bull down the hangar straight. Think about a move, a little bit of a hop over the curb there on the way into Stowe, but gets away with it through that corner. Calvin still holding on to a net 4th place at the moment. Raleigh on the back of Brent as we've got a yellow flag. That's Harry Nawag that's gone for a spin on his fastest lap attempt and gets a 3-second time penalty for his troubles as well. At the back of the field, neither McLaren or Mercedes are going to score any points here this evening. That is a shame. The fact J. Cole could score a point, he could steal a few places on penalties at the end of this one, but it's going to be close, and I don't think he'll quite be able to do it. We're on to the final lap of the race, and Forza Brendan's in the pound seat at the moment to win this race. He's just got to make sure he doesn't lose DRS to Carwin Robb in front and can just hold on to that place. But look, he is dropping out of range to the Alpine in front. The Alpine pushing really hard on this final lap to try and break DRS and gain a few places on those behind on penalties. I think he has managed to get just ahead now of Chill. He has Andrew Kurik as well, so he could beat the two soft runners and get a 6th place finish out of this race rather than 8th. Forza Brendan here running the risk of running out of ERS, running out of the DRS zone here as he comes through Copse Corner. He's got to get on his ERS quickly here because he is out of range, and that's going to put Tin Can right on him down the hangar straight, but Forza Brendan uses a bit of ERS there, gets within range down that corner as Carwin Robb has got another penalty. That is what could have been a good result end to this race for Carwin Robb. That final penalty has put him well out of contention there. Now is Tin Can close enough for a move on Forza Brendan on the final lap of the race to try and steal this phase victory. He's trying to take as much of the road as he can as Chill and Rekurik go side by side into Stowe. Rekurik's going to defend hard from Chill, who runs out of road, runs wide. That's going to put Luke on the back of him here, but out of the final corner, Carwin Robb's going to lead on the track, but for his 2nd race win of the season, Forza Brendan takes the race victory by just 0.2 of a second in the end. It was so close. Tin Can tried his best, but a move early on in the race, and Forza Brendan dropped him back behind the Red Bull and behind the Alpine, and that ultimately cost him the race in the end. Tin Can just missing out, but it's yet another podium for the Red Bull driver. Calvin will get the final spot on the podium for his first points of the season, making it a double Red Bull podium. Brent and Raleigh round off the top 5 in the end. What a great race that was. It was RTGW and Funky Chicken that rounded off then the points. The NJ Cole wasn't close enough to capitalise on the penalties of those around him. Black Puma around the final corner now will finish in 17th, and Harry Nawag will be the last finisher at the back of the field, having run 23 laps on the medium compound tyres in the end. A really bold strategy, hoping for some sort of safety car, and it just didn't come to fruition for him, unfortunately. Neither McLaren nor Mercedes score any points. That is a big blow early in the season for J. Cole, with a lot of his championship rivals at the front of the field. Calvin gets driver of the day for the most positions gained, from 8th on the grid up to 3rd position. A good race for him and his first podium in Division 3. Brilliant stuff then for round 4 of the Division 3 season. Far less of a race of attrition, no safety cars, clean racing throughout, and it's Forza Brendan that takes his 2nd victory of the season. Tin Can, though, limiting the damage that Forza Brendan does to him in the championship with the 2nd place finish, and yet again the Ferrari is on the podium, ever the consistent man. He's been on the podium every time this season apart from the US of A. Calvin with his first podium of the season. Brent once again up in the top 5 here in Silverstone, continues on from a good result in Spain. Same with Raleigh as well. He was in the top 5 last time out. He's in the top 5 drive once again this time around. Not a podium, unfortunately, this time around for Raleigh, but it is a 5th place finish. Rekurik, the lead of those on the alternate strategy, finishes in 6th. They have Chill in 7th position. Our pole sitter, one on track, but yet again a crucial mistake from Carwin Robb costs him a chance of victory. 2 penalties, and he drops to 8th position. Luco 5, winner last time out, only managing 9th this time around. Not the race he would have wanted. White YY rounds off the top 10. RGGW in his first race of the season gets 11th. Only 7.5 seconds off the lead in the end. And Funky Chicken, the final points scorer. JSD, Matt Jacob, Darry Blackpoma, Harry Nawagi, other finishers, with Ben Gallagher the only retiree in this race before the first round of pit stops, retiring unfortunately in the pit lane after a truncated start of the race. That is it then for this stream. We're just going to get the top 3 hopefully into the party so we can have a chat with them and see their thoughts after the 4th round of the season, and then what we can see from them hopefully in the future of this championship. We'll just get these drivers invited to the party. So Forza Brendan, Tin Can and Calvin, your top 3 in the end. There we are then, so our top 3 have been added to the party, so hopefully we get the top 3 into the party fairly shortly. Let's wait and see if they do join the party. Here we are then, we've got some of our drivers then coming into the party, which is great to see. And our race winner then, our second race victory of the season, Forza Brendan, is the first into the party. So let's have a chat with our race victor, who sounds a little bit out of breath by the looks of it. Before we get going, Forza Brendan, let's just double check, hopefully, that we can hear you on stream. If everybody could just double check that as well, to make sure that their voices are streaming. So just double check that for us, and then we can go right ahead.
Mine's is working this time.
Hopefully it is working this time. Let's wait and see. But either way, congratulations. Your second victory of the season. Brilliant drive from yourself. It was a close one in the end with you and Tin Can, and in the end, you came out on top. How was that for you?
Yeah, that was more than close. That was gut-wrenchingly. I mean, oh my God, I can't even find the words to just basically describe. I mean. Yeah, GG Tin Can, that was just fucking, that was just insane. Excuse my language. That was absolutely nuts. I just knew from the first lap on, like obviously when Carwin spun on the formation lap. So like I said to Calvin, I just was like, this is just going to make or break the race if I can get past. And I was hoping to basically get it done before the first turn, and that's exactly what we both done. When I saw Tin Can, I was like, right, this is it. This is the man I'm going to be racing. And but it just was insanely close. I am shaking. It was insane. I can't even just find the words. It was just, yeah, it was just insane.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. Of course, even if you did make one minute mistake, there were 8 cars behind you getting ready to pounce if you did make a mistake. So it wasn't like if you lost a place at Tin Can, if you made a mistake, you lose a place at Tin Can. You could end up losing a top 5 finish in the end. So that must have been a really difficult race. A far more of a different race to what we've seen for the season so far as well. Of course, your other win in US of A came with a big margin, with a lot of chaos going on in that race. This time around, pretty much everybody within close confines of one another. How did you deal with the pressure throughout that race?
I don't know. I just drove as best I could, because like I knew, yeah. So like I obviously knew as well from last season. I was in a similar battle last season. So like I knew what it was like to be the car like in second place. So like I definitely knew, like when I was struggling to overtake, then like I knew the first straight, like I knew I was safe. And then it was the second long straight that I knew that's the one I had to basically get a good exit. Because I knew if I didn't do that, there was one lap, I think I made a mistake. And yeah, like I personally don't think I gave like enough space on the exit of what's the corner? It's the second last right-hander just after the last straight. But I definitely didn't leave enough space there with Tin Can. So just things like that sort of was the pressure I was under, like, because like I had made a mistake in that lap and that was it. And yeah, so like I'll need to have a look back at it, but I hope it wasn't too bad, like on your side. It was a great race.
Yeah, it was a really good race in the end from you. Of course, one last thing in that race that happened, of course, Carwin Robb ended up taking the lead of the race on track. When he did take that lead from you, what was your kind of thoughts going through there? Did you want to try and take the lead back, or were you just happy to sit behind the Alpine driver?
Yeah, I think I defended the first time he tried to attack. I don't know where he came from. He's got rapid pace, like so. He just came out of nowhere. But I knew as soon as Tin Can went off, like I knew like I had made a mistake because I let him through as well. Like he had actually gotten his opportunity and he took it. And then when he was on the back of me, like I knew definitely that I was going to be no match because he just seemed to have so much speed on the straight. It was insane. And I just kind of used him as a buffer as well because I knew if I had the DRS, like that would definitely help me. But on the last lap, like Tin Can, like I think he definitely gave it everything. So definitely, I think it was a good thing I let him pass. But just ultimately, like I don't know where he came from. He's got insane speed. So more races like that, I'm sure he's going to be a problem for the rest of the season.
Yeah, of course. He has had a great speed all the way through the season. It's never quite come together for him, and it didn't quite come together for him today, unfortunately, with those penalties. But that is now his fourth front row start of the season as well, so he's definitely going to be a threat for the rest of the season. Speaking of the rest of the season, this time next week we head to an entirely different track. We go to Singapore. How are you feeling about Singapore? I feel like we're going to be moving back towards the kind of race of attritions we've had for the first three. How are you feeling about it?
I think so, yeah. Like I definitely stayed in Spain last time as well. Like obviously, Tin Can, myself, and Jay Cole, we definitely sort of showed a little bit of like obviously I spun, but like definitely I think between the three of us at that race we showed what's possible if you just do keep it clean. And I think for Singapore, yeah, it's a track I won last season. And it's kind of crazy. The 3 tracks in a row this season, which I won at last season, are all happening 3 in a row. So Spain wasn't one I was quite able to pull off. But yeah, Singapore is a track I generally like. I've no idea what it's like on this game yet. Like I haven't even driven a lap yet. So I feel good, but I do think it's just going to come down to just trying to keep it clean and not try to spin like I did in Spain.
Yeah, it's of course going to be really interesting to watch. But thank you for joining us in the party,
Cool.
and
No
congratulations on your second win of the season. So let's move right over to our second place finisher and a man who's finished on the podium for the third time this season, his second place finish in a row, and our championship leader who extends his championship lead at the front. Tin Can, how are you feeling after that race?
Really tired. Here's a really stressful race. I think Brendan's actually covered a lot of what happened really, but we're so evenly matched on pace. It was always going to be really close, I think.
Yeah, it was going to be really close. A lot of you were evenly matched. It could have been any one of the top 5 runners on the same strategy as you that could have won that race. Talk us through that little battle you did have with Brendan from your point of view. Of course, Brendan's given us his thoughts on it. What was your thoughts on it about that little battle you had at Stowe?
I saw the opportunity. I knew Rob's pace because he was behind me for all those laps before, so I knew I had to try and get past at least to give, what Brendan did almost to me at the end, give that buffer to the car in front. But I think it was a bit annoying, like, not going to lie, because I did lose the position to Rob, but it's more than fair racing. Like, neither of us crashed out. It's what everyone wants to see really at the end of the day, so I'm not too fussed overall.
I think that's a bit of swept right off the brow of Brendan there. But yeah, of course, really, really close race from you, and kind of a good start as well. Of course, we saw Carwin Robb did have a poor start, obviously not helped by the fact that he spun on the formation that very early on. From the start, from your side of things, were you thinking kind of the same as Forza, Brendan? Did you think you had to get past Robb as soon as possible? Did you know he was going to be slow off the line? Was that kind of your plan?
Yeah, 100%. I knew he was in front of me, and like I knew I had to almost get a better start than Black Poma as well by the side of me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the opportunity to get past Rob. Because I knew how early he spun in the formation lap, he was always going to be an easy target almost on lap 1, turn 1. So I had to, for the rest of the race, I knew I had to get past him, and I did so, which I was thankful for, definitely.
Yeah, good stuff. Of course, final question for me then for that one. So, Singapore, same as Brendan. What are your thoughts about Singapore? Is it a track you look forward to, or is it a track that you think might not be one of your best?
I am confident about it, to be honest. I know I've had good races there in the past, and I know France after I miss it, so I know I need to get a good result there to try and get as many points as whilst I can, I think. So, yeah, quietly confident.
Quietly confident. That's a little bit ominous to hear, but thank you again for joining us for the third time this season. Might make it 4 out of 5 this time next week. We'll wait and see. I mean, if you don't make it 4 out of 5 this time next week, then I might hold you up on that one for the rest of the season. But there you go. Thank you for joining us in the party. So we'll move right along to our third place finisher. Not only his first points of the season, but his first podium of the season. Congrats, Calvin. How was that race from your perspective?
I had not a good qualifying. I was P8, but I knew that a DRS straight was really difficult to overtake, so I decided to undercut everyone on lap 6, and yeah, that worked really, really well. Corbin Robb was just in front of me after his pit stop, and I knew that I couldn't overtake him because he was really quick, so I decided to stay behind him for the whole race. He had 6 seconds at the end, so I was able to be in the 6 seconds at the end. So.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from yourself. So talk a little bit more about that undercut that you went for in the end. Of course, the undercut at Silverstone is there, but it's not as powerful as maybe some other circuits. But you gained, I think, 4 places with that undercut that you ended up doing. Did you expect the undercut to be that powerful in the end, or were you always thinking that you could get a bit closer to the podium?
No, I didn't expect that much from the undercut, but yeah, I was 2 laps earlier than most of the field, and 4 places. That's incredible. I didn't expect that, to be honest, but I needed to do something because overtaking here was nearly impossible.
Yeah, worked out nicely for you in the end. So, of course, that's your first podium of the season. It's fair to say that USA unfortunately didn't quite go your way. Looking for the rest of the season now, do you think that this result can now start to build a bit of momentum in your season and help not only you and the drivers, but you and Brendan and the manufacturers as well?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a good qualifying in USA as well, but the race one is good, and Singapore is also a good track for me. I really like it. There are a lot of corners, so consistency needs to be there, and I think I can do a good job there.
Yeah, a little bit ominous once again. All three of you are looking forward to Singapore by the looks of it, so won't be surprised if you end up seeing the same top 3 this time next week. But thank you, Calvin, for joining us in the party, and congrats on your first podium of the season. And that is where we're going to finish off the stream today, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to our top 3 for joining us in the party as well. Thank you to all 3 of you as well for giving us such a good race. It made commentating on my own just that little bit easier, so thank you for that one. Obviously, tune in to the League of Europe YouTube channel in about 15 minutes' time for Division 2 and Division 5. And we are back next Saturday at 6:30 to Divisions 1, 3 and 4 for round 5 of the season at Singapore. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next week. Goodbye.